Welcome to the GFY podcast by healthcare professionals providing insight on how to navigate your health so that you can go fix yourself. The GFY podcast is hosted by Mike Bruno, a chiropractor and athletic trainer, and me, Michael Stant, an athletic trainer and certified strength conditioning specialist. Although we are healthcare providers, we are not your healthcare provider. We will discuss general health interventions in this podcast, but you should not take that as health advice that works in every situation. Before doing anything on your own or making any lifestyle changes, please consult with your own physician. This podcast and views from this podcast are separate from our full-time jobs and our own opinions. And we're going off track today because I ran my first marathon, so I just want to talk about myself.
So cool. Mikey ran a marathon. Mikey ran a marathon.
I am better than most people. Okay, that's really what I learned from this. But no, I mean it was really cool. It was a really cool experience event. You want me just to start from the top, where my day started?
Yeah, and then I can so for everyone's context, I was getting updates like through the app. I was tracking you, and it was without being there, it was funny to see how it went. So I'm curious how my perception of your race went compared to like how it actually felt.
Yeah, because we haven't really talked about it. So I'll talk about how the day started. So I got up at 3:45 because we're about an hour and a half away. Got in the car. I got a large cold brew, 32 ounce. That's how I've been training for my long runs. I drink a 32 ounce cold brew. Dunkin'.
Wow, not Wawa.
Yeah, I'm a big Dunkin' guy on the cold brew.
Wow,
I don't know why.
A not sponsored
Yeah,
Dunkin'. The world runs on Dunkin'. That's probably why.
Exactly. I was running on Dunkin'. So got up, me and we picked up my nephew,
that's
who also ran the
hair?
race. Yeah. That's my nephew. Yeah, he's 23. So this was actually his second marathon. So we got up there in the area around, and he hadn't done a big marathon like this. So the Philly Marathon, I got a little confused because at the start line they told us 37,000 people was racing it, but then when I think that must have been the weekend number, because then when I look up on the app and it says how many people finished, like, because it tells you how many people you're out of, it said 1,440 people, and like I doubt.
Maybe your age group.
I'm sorry, 12,000. 12,000. I was reading the wrong one. 12,402 people ran the marathon. And there could have been a bunch of did not finishes or people who didn't show up. I don't know. But that'd be a lot from 37,000. But we got up there.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. So we probably got up to Philly around 5:45. And like, this is a big event. They told us the race started at 7. So I want this to be a lesson for anyone that ends up running a marathon. They completely fool you. If you're a middle of the pack marathon racer, for us, I probably could have shown up at like 6:45, gotten through security, and been in my corral, like in the group that I started with, because that corral didn't start until 7:30. So I was standing. Yeah, there's security to get in.
They think you're bringing knives to marathon.
No, it was a big event. So yeah, we got up there. Like, you had to have a clear through bag. I actually just left all my stuff with my wife Courtney in her car, and so I didn't have anything on me. But yeah, like there's like a gear check. They had a bunch of water prior. They may have actually even had some snacks, but I just didn't really look around. There was probably like, I don't know, 200 porta potties within the vicinity of the start line. Which is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll also be honest. My schedule was all screwed up. I poop every morning, clockwork. I have my coffee and I gotta go. Not that morning. I was like, oh man, like this is. Initially, I'm already not mentally locked in. So I'm like, what if I get to mile 5 and I gotta just send it? And they have porta potties on the courses and whatnot, but I'm not trying to slow my time by 10 minutes because I gotta take a dump.
Can you give us a spoiler alert? Did you poop your pants?
I did not poop my pants. Luckily.
Dang it. It's more common than you think, dude. I've went and like watched the New York Marathon, and it was like you just see like brown stains running down the back of people's legs, and they do not care.
Oh, and so the common sign that's like around the course as you're going is like, don't trust a fart after mile 10. Like that sign is up multiple times around. So race starts and it's really cool because you kind of just, the first thing you do is you kind of start heading like towards Center City.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So like the initial view, like it's really cool views, But so I ended up being in a corral, and it's because I estimated my marathon pace to be 4 hours. Well,
Hmm.
I think people kind of just es gave whatever time they felt like, or maybe I was just I put myself in the wrong corral. So the
Hmm.
race starts, and I'm like running, and because there's so many people, right? There's 12,000 people. You're kind of just running on a street,
Hmm.
and I'm like weaving in and out. I'm trying to get ahead of people, go in and out of people. And so, like, after the first mile, I look down, I'm running like a 9 minute pace, which I'm probably typically like first 2 miles, I'm running like an 8 minute pace. So when I look
Hmm.
down, I'm like, oh my God, like I gotta, I gotta work myself around. So,
Hmm.
especially the first part of the race was like all along most of the streets of Philly. Like there wasn't that much space. So I was weaving in and out, going in and out of people and passing people probably honestly most of the race, probably up until about mile 21. But so the initial couple miles though, I was stuck behind people that I actually couldn't run the pace that I wanted to run. And I don't know if that was because I was behind people that either put themselves running too fast or too slow. In fact, there was actually a guy about 3/4 of a mile in, right? 0.75 miles out of the 26.2 who just stopped on a dime in front of me and started walking. That actually happened. And I had to
You
like
run him
avoid him.
over, like throw his
No, but
shoulder.
I was just like, hold on. This is a marathon. And you definitely started in a corral ahead of me. Like, how are you already walking? And
Yeah.
obviously, everyone comes in different, a lot of different experiences. But I was like, oh God. But so what ended up happening was the first couple miles were very slow, and I felt like I had to catch up. So I was blazing. Like there were multiple. If I looked on my watch, there were multiple miles that I ran between 7:30 and 7:45, probably from like mile 6 to 12. I was
Hmm.
absolutely on a tear, and then like I kind of settled in at 8 minutes. And even then, like I was weaving in and out of people the entire time. So like for me, sometimes I look back, I kind of wish I did a smaller marathon to start because of that process.
Hmm.
But it was cool because you're running down. There's people along the streets. They're cheering you on. I was wearing a Delaware shirt, so they kept on either yelling Delaware or you had your bib, or they'd be like, "Keep going, Michael!" Like everyone's just cheering you on. It's a cool little thing. There was also a lot of people with like the power up mushrooms from Mario that you could like. It was like tap here for extra power, and some people even had like the little coin boxes up top that you could like hit up as you were going.
I
A
love
lot of
that.
a lot of people serving alcohol on the sides as well.
For a full
Yeah,
marathon?
yeah. People like trying to get you to take shots or like drink a beer as you're doing it and whatnot. If it wasn't my first, if I was into my 20th marathon, I think I would do that. Like I would just be like, you know what, screw it, why not?
Yeah.
But not this one.
I'll
So
tell you a story when you're done about that.
yeah. So probably got to like mile 18 and I was on a torrid pace. Mile 18 happens and I'm like, oh boy, like I'm starting to get tired. My calves and my hamstrings are feeling on both sides. I'm starting to burp and get heartburn, which is kind of strange. I haven't really experienced that on a run. I think it's because of like my nutrition throughout.
Hmm.
I think I didn't really do a good job of testing out different types of nutrition to make sure that like what fuel would I not get upset on, things like that.
Hmm.
I did it, but for whatever reason, I was starting to feel it. So miles 18 to 21, I was still probably running like an 8:30 pace, and that was fine. But I can tell you, up to mile 18, I was looking at it, and I was like, I'm aiming for the 3 hour 15 minute marathon right now. Like that was like I was on such a torrid pace, and then that happened, and then mile 21 was just kind of it all just like my body just started kind of crumbling on me. Everything was getting sore. Like I was getting more GI distress, and I actually probably near the end, once I hit like mile 24, that's probably where the GI distress started really bothering me more so than anything else. I don't really know if it was like my legs going slower. It was just like, oh God, like my stomach's bothering me. I mean, I was just kind of hurting all over. So when
Did you
I got to
puke?
like mile, no. But when I got to mile like 23, it's like 'cause I was passing people the entire race, and then 23, everyone's passing me. I was like, dang it, like that's what's happening. But got through it. What was the time? It was so also the marathon app says my finish was 3 hours and 41 minutes, but my watch said the marathon was a little long. and I actually finished the 26.2 part in 3 hours and 30 minutes. So that's up for debate. Um, but got
I'll take the
through.
fat. Yeah, take the faster time, man.
Yeah,
Why not?
exactly. Got through. You know, it was surprising. So, like, I saw some med people along the way, but and maybe I just didn't see it. But when I got through the finish line, I expected there to be like a med tent or like something very obvious, and there wasn't. And there was actually like a kid like on the ground, like just kind of like not really responding to like a police officer, uh, like shaking and whatnot. And I'm like, is there like someone else here to
Hmm.
help him out? But I didn't see that. And there could have been. I just didn't see it. But
Right.
got through. They essentially just chuck food at you. It's water and food. It's just like grab a water bottle, banana, uh, granola bars. There's chicken broth. Um,
That's a weird one.
Warm, yeah, warm, I guess.
Mm.
And then you got through and then got done. So I got done, took my shoes off. I had to take my shoes. My calves were so tight after running. And like my feet were so tight that I was just like, I'm taking my shoes off. And I walked around barefoot for probably about 10 minutes. Um, it was just, yeah. I mean, I was on grass, so it was fine. I brought
Hmm.
change of stuff and things like that. But that was it, you know. And even after the fact, I don't feel too bad. I did, you know, this were 2 days at post marathon. Yesterday I did body weight workout. I cut my grass. That was like an hour of moving around.
Hmm.
Today I did a 3 mile run with a little upper body lift. So I don't feel too bad. I will say yesterday I just felt hungover. Like I just don't think I had enough fluid. It wasn't because of the alcohol I drank afterwards. Um, I only had 2 drinks, but I felt hungover. I just felt I don't think I did a good enough job of getting enough water in me or electrolytes in me following the race. That's all that was.
What was your post race meal?
We ended up so like I don't get that hungry afterwards. So, like I had some of that food. We ended up having like we went to a tavern with like loaded French fries, nachos.
Hmm.
I had like a chicken sandwich. I was just like me and my nephew. We were like we both get a solid no. My solid no was pizza. I did not want pizza, and
Hmm.
then his solid no was Mexican food. Unfortunately, where we were parked, the 2 restaurants right across the street were those 2 spots. So then we ended up having to like walk about 20 minutes the opposite direction to find a spot that wasn't too crowded.
How fast did he run it?
I think he was like a 3:53 total time. So like he wasn't that far behind. He was like 12 minutes behind me.
Nice. So you're better than him.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
So, so I know that you ran a marathon this weekend, but I did a 5 mile fun run this weekend.
Oh
So like
yeah.
I'm
There we go.
equally as better than everybody else as you know, just like 1/5 of the mileage. And it was one that like a lot of the local guys in town run. So like I saw a lot of people that I knew. And I didn't know it was called Turkey Trot, right, for Thanksgiving. So I didn't know how much of a this was a drinking event that just happened to be on the move. It was the craziest thing that I've ever seen. Like I'm like running with like my group of people. We're like having a good time, like chilling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The signs were what's the word? Grotesque, like dirty, like
Vulgar.
sexual vulgar. That's
Yeah,
the
there
word.
it is.
I was
Yeah.
like, I read some of the signs and I was like, there are children here. Why why are you holding that up? Um, but the amount of alcohol that was being shoved in your face on this 5 mile run was insane.
So what were
The
you required to drink a certain amount, or is it just
No, they
like
were just like random people that like lived
oh, okay.
on the track or the course. Would just like put a table in their front yard and have a table full of water, and then it started off light, and then there was like a table full of beer, and like they had like a little like shot of beer in the cup. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is like let's celebrate. Then there was like vodka lemonade shots at one house. There
Oh,
was, dude, the one that really got me was towards the very end. These kids, it was like because it was in a beach town, so there was the houses that you like rent for the year or whatever. There was a house packed with college kids, and they were throwing Jello shots at people. Like they were just like flying through the air, like left and
oh
right.
God.
something that I didn't know that I could not do well was chew jello and run at the same time.
Oh,
Uh,
that's actually so that's one of the things I had to practice was like I for like my gels, I would have a little bit and have to like really focus on like
mhm.
chewing it and like kind of getting it in. Yeah, 'cause I actually for my water stops, I would actually stop, stand next to the person and talk to them for like a couple seconds while drinking the water and be like, "How's your day going? I really appreciate you doing this," and then like chuck it and go.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's no shot that I'm like drinking and walking is a skill for sure,
Yeah.
or running especially. Um, Talk to me about like what you thought was going to be harder and what you thought was going to be easier about the race.
Um, I honestly don't even. I thought what was gonna be easier was actually towards the end. Like I didn't realize like because I had done a 24-mile run,
Mm-hmm.
and although that was tough for me, I was like when I did the 24-mile run, I was like, oh, I definitely had like another couple miles left in the tank. I was good with that.
Mm-hmm.
But because I probably went on such a torrid pace, I'd like probably emptied myself way before, like I said, and that's why mile 21 it just all started going downhill for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was going to be easier and that was harder. The easy it probably was the motivation to run harder though. Like in the beginning, it was very easy when you're just in a group of people with all these people cheering for you randomly. And also it's like, I had a couple friends up and family, and it's just like it makes it very easy for you to be like, I'm actually gonna really try. I'm not stopping. Like the
Mm-hmm.
mindset was definitely all there.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think that from an easier and harder standpoint, the Philly Marathon was nice, was actually pretty flat. So most of my training, so that 24-mile run, I went and looked at it like I do around my neighborhood. The elevation for that was about 2,400 feet, and for the Philly Marathon, the elevation was 600 feet. So it was actually kind of funny. Anytime there was like slight hills up or down, for me, I'm like, if I'm going downhill, I'm running faster. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna just let gravity take me. So the first downhill there was, everyone started running slower. And I was like, what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah,
let
yeah,
gravity take you. And then uphills, I ran faster than everyone because I was just used to running the uphills faster. So, that's maybe in retrospect, I should have taken it slower on one of those things, but I don't know. I just rather get done hills.
it's funny that you say that it was flat because everyone else I talked to said it was hilly. So
Philly? Nah,
yeah,
nah, that was flat.
uh,
It tells you how many hills I run around my neighborhood then.
yeah, like your hilly is very different than somebody
One
else's.
one thing, it's funny. Maybe people think I'm crazy about this. That night, so I got home that night. I was like, I want to run another marathon in May. That's probably where what I'm looking at. Like, I look back at this. I did training, but I'll be perfectly honest. I did not really follow training to a T. And I look back at some of the stuff, we talk about our zone two heart rate and whatnot, right? I didn't really track to see how if I was staying in that range or, how much of my zone five I did, how much high intensity work. I had a general outline,
Hmm.
but none of it was followed to a T. And, right, a 341, I think I could easily be under 330 the next marathon I run. Like I think if I actually, all right, you know what? I'm planning out my days more thoughtfully. I'm planning out my lift more thoughtfully. I'm planning my recovery much better. I'm
Mm.
focusing a little because I can tell you the last because this fall just a bunch of life events, weddings, things like that. Like the last 3 months, like I did the training, I did the physical part of the training just to hit the volume and whatnot, but I didn't really keep everything else in check. So,
Mm.
I kind of look at that number of 341 with me. I don't want to say I half-assed it, but like I just put in the work to be able to do it. I think if I actually do everything else around it, I'll be better. And I think that's what's kind of cool about it was and it is what's cool about the entire event is the amount of people who run it, the all shapes and sizes who run it. And I think it's, hey, if you truly want to put your body to the test and commit to something, you can definitely drop your time by a significant amount.
Yeah, that's actually a really good, like a really good like lesson from that is you did the thing but you know in the back of your head that you didn't do it to your best ability.
No, and I don't want to say I didn't even come close to my best ability of doing it, but I would say like I just like, especially this fall, I was just like, all right, I got to hit these miles. I got to do this. I got to do that. But, I know if I really get down in the weeds with objective measures and things like that, I will probably be better. I think, even from like a gait mechanic standpoint, I'm working on some things now that I think will help me improve, not just from a performance standpoint, but from a recovery standpoint and not putting so much load on my body while I'm running. So, and that's going to be gait mechanics, and it's also going to be looking at different types of footwear and things like that, and training in different types of footwear.
Mm, different, like
I mean,
like
yeah, I mean, like
not just
I
not sneakers or like different types of sneakers.
different type, like the biggest thing is different drops, like heel to toe drops. So like your
Hmm.
typical running shoe is a 12 millimeter drop from your heel to your toe. So that's like your traditional running shoe. I'd probably start focusing on some more minimalist shoes, going from like 8 to 4 to 0 drop. So 0 drop would be like, you ever seen like the toe shoes, the finger toe shoes?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
those are like 0 drop shoes. Okay. But like they sell ones that don't have toes. Like I don't care to put my toes into each separate thing. But training in multiple different ones to kind of help with changing my gait. I think it's going to be something that I look into doing just to, because I'll be honest, one thing I noticed, and I don't remember if I told you this, a couple weeks leading into the race, like I was dealing with a bunch of calf and hamstring pain. I wouldn't even call it an injury, but what
Hmm.
I started realizing was it was my everyday shoe that I was walking in that was a running shoe. I would have pain in it, and I would take the shoe off and walk around barefoot. The pain would be gone. And so that was like, all right, like maybe I need to couple things here. One, I need to get rid of those shoes, but two, I think I need to focus on training in multiple different types of shoes just to either one change gait mechanics, but two, also just get used to a bunch of different shoes so that my body gets used to it, my feet activate the way they're supposed to activate when they're running, and can
Yeah.
recover a little bit better.
Your body wants a lot of different choices, and if it only has one, it's going to overuse that one and cause pain.
Yep,
There you
posture
go.
isn't just upper half, posture's in your foot as well.
Yeah, foot posture.
Yeah, boom.
Who's ever heard of that? Um, yeah, that's really cool. It sounds like you learned a lot
Yeah,
from running
I
this.
Yeah, I would definitely say I learned a lot. I learned like just even like the whole racing environment and just even like the time to start, right? Just standing around and realizing, shoot, got
Mhm.
here way too early. We didn't need to do all this. I'm happy I got there early because from an anxiety standpoint, I was there and ready. And at the end of the day, it probably didn't make. I will say, like probably the first couple miles, I felt like I was warming up because I was standing in the cold for for like
Mhm.
45 minutes, and there really
Mhm.
wasn't anywhere to like run around and kind of warm yourself up. At least I didn't want to like venture too far off because I thought we were starting at 7 p.m. or at 7 a.m. and I'm a moron.
Mhm.
Everyone else, all the experienced people knew not to show up in their corral until 7:30. Or I might just say I'm faster next time to start in the first one.
That'd be hilarious. The okay, so from my perspective,
Hell yeah.
I was watching you on the little map, and I know that your goal was just sub 4 initially,
Hmm.
right? Like that's what you told me
Yep.
beforehand. And I'm watching, and I'm no good at math, but I was like, this kid's going way too fast. Like he's gonna crush 4 miles. And I was like, I was following along, and the my prediction, knowing you, was like, oh, 3:33. Like that's what I thought. And your projected time was basically 3:33 on the dot.
So I
And
gotta tell you this. I was at mile 22. I looked at it, and that's like kind of where I was projecting to. I was like, damn it, Bruno was right. But then I couldn't
yeah,
even do that.
yeah. So then I was like, it's funny how like I felt good about that. I was like, I knew it. And then the last what a mile or two, your pace went from like a 8:30 to like 10:30, and it was like, did he get hit by a car?
Uh,
What is he doing?
I mean, proverbially, I was hit by a car for sure.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me see because they in the app it tells you. Yeah, so when I got to 20.1 miles, it was like an 8:30 pace from the 30K mark, which I can't do the math in my head, to the 20.1 miles. So
Hmm.
20.1 miles to 40K. So I don't even, God damn, they got 5K was 883. So that's like 24 miles. At the
Hmm.
24-mile mark, from 20 to 24, I ran a 9:13 pace. So like I am just falling off a cliff. And then
Hmm.
my last mile was a 10-minute pace. Like the last mile and a half was a 10-minute pace.
Yeah.
Absolutely just I unloaded the tank so early. And so obviously I'm sure, like for me, mentally, I'd rather like unload it early and no, I didn't leave anything. Like, I don't want to finish that race and feel like, damn it, I could have ran faster. So I don't
Hmm.
feel bad about that, but I'm sure there's probably better nutrition strategies or even just like as I train more and more long distances that I, I don't fatigue out near the end there. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's stuff that I can play around with in my own training that will help improve those last couple miles.
What's the biggest thing that you didn't know that you know now?
Um, Honestly, it was just like everything surrounding the event for it. Like, right, the okay, when to
Mm.
get there, when to like what corral should I be in? Like maybe I should have said I was in corral D, I was in corral E. I should have maybe said I was in the next corral so that I could have ran that beginning pace at a pace that I wanted to run.
Mm.
I think a lot of that was bigger that. I also like something I learned was just like what my body feels like when I'm near the end of like complete fatigue.
Yeah.
Um, because I had somewhat felt that in training, but because I hadn't really ever pushed myself like that before, I mean, like I can tell you, like that last mile, and the worst part too is like my watch because it was saying it was slightly ahead. I was like, this is terrible. My watch told me I hit 26.2 already, but I'm not at the finish line yet. Um, and honestly, I will say for like if I'm trying to keep up with paces, I'm happy I had my watch on me because
Mm.
I like if I didn't wear a watch, I probably would have been all like I would have been even more all over the place.
Yeah. You need the like the accountability and like the objective measures in real time for sure.
Yeah.
Um, do you know why a marathon's 26.2?
Wasn't it some guy ran to marathon Greece like to warn Spartans or something? Right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And then he died.
Yeah, but
20
that's because guy didn't train for it.
Yeah, but it's funny how like a marathon's a thing now because the guy ran that distance and died. Like that's
Yeah.
why it's very weird cultural thing that we do. But people do it all the time. I know. I saw a guy run it with a pineapple on his head. I saw a guy with no legs wheelchair his way through a marathon.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
know a kid who bear crawled a marathon. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
How long did that take? Probably
No
forever. Like,
idea.
yeah.
No idea. But like from just like the like I'm having a brain fart. Like figure out what your limit is. Most people don't ever know what the gas tank looks like empty, like truly.
Mm-mm.
So like David Goggins, was it David Goggins? Someone in that world said that when most people quit and they're like, hey, like that's everything that I have, when they mentally like, hey, tap out, that's usually only 40% of what they're able to give. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, now I get to bring up research instead of you.
There you go.
Um, there was a study done where they put um, a mouse in water and like so it was like swimming and they rescued it. So it was treading water for like 10 minutes and they rescued it when it thought it was like going like when they saw it like kind of going under and like it tapping out. And it was like about 10 minutes and they like scooped him up, like let him rest. The next day they put him through the same thing and to condition the rat to like expect to be saved. So when the rat thought it was going to get scooped up as soon as it went under in like 10 minutes, it stayed up because it didn't know when that saving hand was coming and it treaded water for over an hour. So
Yeah,
just goes to show
that's a
like
cool study.
yeah, just goes to show like how much you have in the tank, even though it doesn't feel like it at all.
Yeah, like I think too, like there are so many people run like I don't know. I truly believe anyone could probably run a marathon, and it's just, it's mentally and physically preparing yourself for it. Just
Mm.
because it's something that people just don't typically push themselves through unless they're trying to do it.
Did you see anybody who was running and you were like, how are you doing that? Like maybe they're like
Oh
overweight or
yeah.
something like that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, even just like mechanically too, like you see so many different running styles, and you're just like, how?
Yeah. Yeah. If Mikey can do it, that means you can all do it.
Yeah. I mean, I truly believe. I mean, 12,000 people ran, or 14,000, whatever the number was. Like, I think a lot of people can do it, and just don't say, I can't do it. Like, your body can go further than it thinks.
100%. I think that's a good place to wrap it up, sir.
Yeah. Sweet. I hope people learn to go fix themselves.
Go fix yourself, Mikey.